Good afternoon, people, and welcome back to the Blues Feed with a new episode and the same obsession as always, talking Chelsea Football Club. Today, I have a very, very special guest with me, Mr. Jay McIntosh. How are you, Jay?
The reverse for those that listen to the podcast I host. This is a funny little episode. Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very grateful to be asked on actually. So I appreciate it, brother. It's good to be here.
I think by the time Danny and I are up and running, you will be a firm staple. Well, hopefully, anyway. Talking of Danny and addressing the reason that Danny's not in, we just want to chuck our congratulations over to Danny and his wife and the rest of his family. They had a baby boy yesterday, which is why we may not see Danny on here for a week or so. He's got a little bit going on, bless him. But yeah, so Danny and his wife had a baby yesterday, and they will be taking a little bit of time to get used to that sort of newborn bubble again. And before we get fully into the pod, I just want to remind everyone to subscribe on YouTube, like, hit the comment, all that good stuff. And once we hit 1,000 subscribers, there will be a Chelsea shirt given away. Anyway, Jay, on to the pod. So we are obviously in the midst of a transfer window. Chelsea are relatively active, but we seem to have done a lot of our business so far. I just want to get your thoughts overall on the transfer window, on the business we've done, and sort of, yeah, just your feelings about how we've acted in the market, and if you notice any sort of differences in the way we've gone about our business this year in comparison to other windows.
Yeah. Okay. So I think my main takeaway from the window so far, and I'll just preface this with I'm saying this based on the assumption that we land the Dutch duo that I know we'll talk about in a bit. I think the window's been excellent, to be honest with you. I don't have such a desire to feel as though we need another striker. So I feel fairly comfortable with what we have, actually, more so than a lot of Chelsea fans I've seen or interacted with. I think that's an area of strength. I think someone like Estevao coming back and Santos coming back from loan, it's important to remember that that's part of this summer's transfer business too, because they're being bought back. That's part of what happens in the window. I think that's excellent business, and there's almost, well, we know both are going to feature quite prominently in the squad going forward. And besides the debacle around Mike Maignan, which I thought was a bit messy overall, and probably not the best choice. He is a good choice, but probably not the best choice on the market. I think it's been okay. I will say it's probably a 6.5, 7 out of 10 window now, and that would be with the Dutch guys coming in. What to me would make it a 9 out of 10 window is to execute the outgoings efficiently. This is a massive transfer window for players leaving Chelsea. I think the Renato Vega thing is a little bit messy. Atleti weren't willing to wait around in the way that Chelsea were to sort of hold off for a price. Now, we're talking today, 1 o'clock, Tuesday, 29th of July. So we've still got plenty of time to go. But my takeaway is it's been a strong start. I think it's really positive. I think a lot of the Premier League teams are acting with real intent, apart from Newcastle, who keep getting sidestepped by everyone. I don't really care about Newcastle, so that's fine. Huge club. I actually love the stadium as well, but in a sort of rivalry sense, I'm not super hurt by that. I think they're the team that will push for the 4th place alongside Chelsea. So the less that Newcastle achieve in a transfer window, the better for us. But overall, I'm pretty happy about it. I think everything's been done well, and it seems as though for the first time since Abramovich left and all of the changes have happened, that there's a level of cohesiveness in the men's side of the game, because I think the women's team is much more dialed down and locked in the way they do stuff. The men's team now, it seems though everybody's singing on the same hymn sheet, at least for now.
Yeah, I think you've described it so well as well, because we're not doing messy business this summer, really. And like you say, obviously you had the sort of Maignan situation, and you've got the potential issue around Vega, and that's got a little bit out of sync, really. But other than that, the window as a whole has been really straightforward. If we've got the players buy-in, we've bought them. And it's been done relatively quickly. You think if we've got Hato and Simmons over the line in the next sort of 4 or 5 days, but sort of by the time pre-season starts early next week, that having all of your business done near enough by the first week of August is relatively unheard of, especially for Chelsea. And it just feels like they're going with a different strategy this summer, don't you think?
It's do you know what, man? I think it does feel like it's a different strategy. I think the thing is the most stark is I think every player that's been bought in or is returning from loan to be in the team, so to include the Brazilian boys, like there's clearly a plan for these players. There's clearly a role for these players. Like I don't struggle to see how they fit into the system. What I struggled to see was what Aubameyang, Koulibaly, and Raheem Sterling were going to do. I like Sterling, obviously, so a lot of people know that I'm a big Sterling fan, but he's less good now. But when he came, I thought he was a very good player. People criticize him a lot. So I can see what the plan is. I think Chelsea have bought really intelligently. Someone like João Pedro, I think a lot of people look at his numbers and think, wow. And then they look at how many penalties he takes and then they go, yee. But what Chelsea have done is they've seen way beyond that. And that's really important. And someone like Delap, I mean, Delap is, I hate to say this, but it's just a prime market opportunity. 30 million for a player that good is outstanding. And I'm a massive fan of his now. And I think he's in for a really big season with Chelsea. So, it just seems like there's cohesiveness around it. I don't know how much game time someone like Asugo will get, but, he will be there. He'll be part of it. I think
it's understood, isn't it, that he is Caicedo's body double, if you like. He is just there for when Caicedo isn't, sort of thing, with Asugo.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And you just have to accept that. He might have to grow into the squad for a couple of years, but eventually he'll get chances, he'll get minutes, and yeah, like you're just saying now, I like the way the squad's being built, and you can sort of really see a purpose for most of the individuals that are being signed. Just on that a little bit, sort of factoring in the end of the season and sort of the Club World Cup really as well. Do you see Maresca sort of shaping up slightly differently now? Because for me, I mean, and I've spoke about it on here already, I can sort of see the vision now. And probably for the first time under the ownership and the first time under Maresca for sure, I can actually see the vision of where the players are expected to play and how they're expected to play. Can you sort of see, or do you have any thoughts around how you feel like we're going to set up this year, the sort of tactics and sort of the versatility around the squad and the formations?
What I think the most, and this is a little bit of a wishy-washy answer, but what I truthfully think is you probably won't see, massive tactical flexibility. I think he will be more pragmatic and he can adapt more to different opposition. But I think that what this squad will have, what Maresca will have, is they will move with confidence in a way that we've not seen before because the season ended well and trophies have come in. Strong players have come in and hit the ground running. That breeds confidence. So Chelsea will actually... How many times did we watch last season, and goodness me, the seasons before, where Chelsea played great for 10 minutes and then looked nervous for the next 60? And full well Chelsea 1-0 up are going to be 2-1 down by minute 56. And it's really frustrating, and Brentford go on to beat you 3-1 or whatever it is. What I don't think we'll see those things. And there's far more confidence. I think the players, it's just like career mode, isn't it, man? Like 3 years in, they're actually beginning to increase their ratings and look really good. Enzo, the squad's great. Like the squad's really strong. It's fresh. It's vibrant. I think the right desires there amongst the team. I think those intangible aspects will influence how the team play on the pitch in a way or in conjunction with the tactics that we see. I truthfully don't know what to expect in terms of a tactical setup next season, unless you base it a little bit on what we've seen and what we know of Maresca. But I think that the confidence in the players knowing that what they're doing achieves real good results will be more evident now than ever time before. And I think that will become one of the most noticeable things on the pitch, especially if Chelsea start the season as they should do, winning a few games in a row.
Yeah. I want to single out Cole Palmer for a second and the sort of role you see him taking up now that one of your favourite players, Xavi Simons, seems to be joining us. And we'll come on to Xavi a little bit more in a minute. But But for those that can't, that aren't watching, Jay is fist pumping like mad talking about Xavi Simons. I just want to sort of see what your views are around Cole Palmer and Xavi Simons and how we might see them line up in a team together.
I think it'd be so easy, to be honest with you. I think it's so easy, and they offer you, I guess, to lead on really perfectly from your question, they give you a tactical dynamic that you might not get elsewhere. So I think Xavi Simons will start as the 10 and Palmer will play off the right, will be my initial understanding. Xavi Simons played predominantly as the 10 for a struggling Leipzig side last season. Struggling, they came 9th or something terrible like that. But yeah, that's what I imagine. And I think that the combination play between the two of them is going to be insane. Like if those two can knock a ball around together with each other, and the way in which I can see someone like Enzo stepping up, allowing Xavi and Cole Palmer to have an outlet. So Cole can play it from the right into Enzo, who can give it to Xavi. Palmer's made the run, or vice versa. Either way, I think those type of players reacting to each other's movement and understanding each other's game, it's going to be quite a quick transition.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any concerns. I don't think any player is going to be bought into Chelsea that's better than Cole Palmer. So I think that's fine. I still think he's going to get 25 goals and assists in all comps, probably more. What I do think is that him and Xavi Simons combined should probably be aiming over the next 2 seasons to get to 50 goals and assists between the two of them in all competitions. And I think that's totally reasonable given Palmer takes set pieces too. So the way in which they work together, I think would be pretty brilliant. The nice thing about Palmer compared to someone like Xavi Simons is Palmer really rarely overcomplicates things. If Palmer has to dribble past 4 players, it's because in his mind it's the easiest thing to do. It's the right decision. You know, he'd rather just clip the ball early into the bottom corner, really. Whereas Xavi Simons is a little bit more of a complex player in the way he is on the pitch. Obviously, Cole is super skillful, but they do things in a very different way. And I think that blend will work really nicely together. That Cole is high energy, but a little bit more lethargic and a little more concise. Xavi Simons is a little bit more maybe technical and willing to try and showboat a bit more or in a slightly different way. And I think if there's cohesiveness there, Chelsea can look good.
You know what I love about Xavi Simons as well? It's like when he gets the ball, sometimes, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, he just looks so off the cuff. He just reacts to what's around him, but in such a brilliant way that he could do literally anything with the ball in that moment. And just that, I don't know, that the sort of unknown in him is something I really, really like.
The thing is as well, like we're here now, so we might as well talk about Xavi Simons. Like he's 22. Like this, just to be really clear, because I know people know, but I'm not sure how much this is really being talked about in terms of the extent to which it is. Like Xavi Simons is an absolute star boy. Like he's not just a very good player. I mean, he's been the face of the Barca Academy as a kid. You know, PSG come through training with Neymar. Like this is not a normal signing. He's an absolute star boy signing. He is at the level of someone like Florian Wirtz, maybe slightly below, but they are different players in a way. He's a really, really hot prospect. And as you know, anyone whose idol is Neymar, I like. And I like the fact that we've got Gittins and we've got Xavi Simons, both of which their favourite players Neymar. So that's great stuff. Because those type of players, they're going to be really fun to watch, man. Like Chelsea are going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the feeling around the club now, especially with the sort of attacking approach, it just feels so different. And
mate, the thing is, there's confidence. That's the thing. There's intent, there's confidence, there's cohesiveness. It's those 3 things. Like
you're talking about, like sort of Palmer and Simons linking up, and then let's say that, for example, I see the way we line up is like a sort of on the ball. We've got like a 3-2-4-1 sort of setup going on with your probably Kukurea, Colwill, Chalobah probably as your sort of 3 defenders. You've then got Enzo and Caicedo in front, which Enzo being allowed to sort of push on a little bit. And then you'll have Reece or Gusto from the right, hopefully bombing on the outside. We seem to have got rid of the inverting rubbish now. You've got then Gittins with chalk on his boots on the left, and then you've got these like 2 10 positions behind Pedro or Delap, which Simmons and Palmer could just flourish in. It's just so exciting.
You know what the thing is, like what Chelsea have with that attacking lineup, especially if you include Reece on the right, is every single one of those players commands at least the attention of 2. So when you have Xavi Simmons and Cole Palmer playing together, passing the ball between each other, I guarantee you 4 opposition players will step into that. If you give the ball from them to João Pedro, he's going to cook 2 players, no problem. Gittins will do the exact same thing. Reece is on their day, Reece might even still be the best player in the Chelsea team, which I know is mental to say for non-Chelsea fans, but like, if you know, on his day, he's just unstoppable. So it's just super exciting because you look like it looks like a project that's got foundations. It looks like a project that's got the right people in the right place. I think the manager's the right manager for now. And yeah, it's very nice feeling. And actually what we are, or what Chelsea are, I hate saying we, I try and be objective as a journalist, but what Chelsea are is scary. The prospect of Chelsea is quite scary. And that hasn't been the case since, I think, Tuchel's first season, when Lukaku joined, and that sort of went and ebbed and flowed and we became scary in a different way. But as a prospect, if you ask any fan from any other team, I guess unless it's like an arrogant fan who doesn't care, like most normal fans, I think they'd say we don't fancy playing Chelsea right now.
Yeah. And I think for any team that we come up against, we are just going to be a problem to prepare for because of the sort of this Swiss Army knife approach that they've taken. That you've got pretty much all of the attackers can play in 2 positions; they can line up in any which way. And you can see an overload from the right, you can see an overload from the left. You might see an invert into midfield. You could just see Chelsea lining up in so many different manners.
And the thing is as well, man, like when you compare Chelsea's attacking lineup now with the attacking lineups of other top Premier League teams, I mean, it feels as though Chelsea are a lot closer again to that top level. I mean, if you go 1 for 1 on those, I mean, João Pedro's or Delap are not as good as Haaland, but I actually don't know how Gyökeres is going to be in the Premier League. João Pedro and Delap in the Premier League. I think João Pedro and Delap are probably better than Solanke. I think they're going to be better than Ekitike in his first season because I've watched a lot of Ekitike and I know a lot of people haven't. And I think Pedro and Delap will have a stronger season this season than Ekitike. If you look at Palmer, I think he's better than Saka. Respectfully, I love Saka as well, but I think Palmer's a better player. I think Salah's obviously better, but other than that, I think Palmer tops out. I think Xavi Simmons is going to be better than everyone apart from Wirtz, and that's probably it. I'm trying to think of other 10s. I think Xavi Simmons will be better than James Maddison, who I rate highly. I think he'll be at a sort of current Foden level, maybe slightly higher. If Foden kicks into gear, then I think Foden's as good as Wirtz and Palmer, but I think Simmons could be there too. Madueke versus Gittins, I'm not sure. Like, we don't really know. But Doku, I've been unimpressed with generally at Manchester City. I think Gittins will probably be better than Doku because Doku's output stinks. We match quite nicely. It feels like we're closer, so that's why it's a bit better because we are.
Yeah, and I think the only way that any of the sort of competing teams will end up with a vastly superior attack is if Alexander Isak does end up at Liverpool. But
I mean, Liverpool, I've said this for ages, obviously not on this pod, but Liverpool, in my head, are absolute guaranteed to win the Premier League. It's basically
I agree.
I think Frimpong is going to be a little bit overrated, but other than that,
I agree. He's even worse at defending than Trent. Like, unbelievable.
No, definitely. Like, I think Trent's an underrated defender, but Frimpong isn't actually a defender at all. He has
lined up at right wing in a couple of games as well. It's a weird one, but
he is a right winger. That's what he does. But Liverpool have, especially if they bring Isak in, they're gonna have won the transfer window. Obviously, they've been through a super hard time, but I think. I lived in Liverpool for 5 years. I know the city very well. I know the people. I know the club very well. Like, I think Liverpool are a club in which they build such strong narratives around themselves. As much as rival fans dislike that, and we can poke fun at it, but I do think when it comes to serious things, such as what happened with Diogo Jota, I think that's the type of narrative that Liverpool draws strength from.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a team that loses their head and everything falls apart. I think they're a team that unifies around something so tragic and actually draws strength from it, because the mentality of the city and the place is to do so, especially with the level of players, Van Dijk and Salah, for example, that have such experience. I think Liverpool are going to kill everyone. To be honest.
I agree. I think they run away with the league. Talking of Frimpong, a couple of international teammates of his. Obviously, we've spoken about how we see Xavi settling in, and I think anybody with ears that's listened to this podcast can hear that Xavi Simons may be a player you like. Jay,
Yes, big
just
time.
break down our new two Dutch boys for me and your thoughts on the transfers. Firstly, obviously you've told us where you see Xavi settling in, maybe where you see João Hato fitting in, and just overall your thoughts on the two new additions that fingers crossed are going to get over the line very soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've waxed lyrical about Xavi Simons, but I will say, just he is so good and he's so versatile, and he can play along that entire front line. The age profile is perfect. The price is so good. Like let me actually do some sort of live stats looking, because I just need to compare a second, just for my own sake, so I don't make a point and then it sounds ridiculous. So last season in the Bundesliga, Florian Wirtz got 22 goals and assists, 10 goals and 12 assists. Xavi Simons got 17 goals and assists. The difference being, and what I mentioned earlier, is that Xavi Simons for Leipzig, they finished 7th in the end outside of European positions, whereas Leverkusen finished 2nd. So a much stronger team, obviously the league winners. And there's a 5 goal and an assist difference between the two, yet the difference is maybe 60 million, 70 million.
Yeah.
I think that goes really under the radar. And they're the same age as well. Xavi Simons is 22, Florian Wirtz is 22. They both play as the 10. And actually, if you look at their average rating from last season, if you go by FootMob, Florian Wirtz is 7.69, and Xavi Simons is 7.64. I don't see a huge difference. I think Wirtz is the better player currently, but there's actually not a huge difference between the two in terms of how good they are. And the price for Xavi is brilliant, and him coming in is outstanding. I think Chelsea's attack is going to be the much better for it, and actually and people hate talking about it, but a business of football model, Xavi Simons is a wonderful player to bring into. He's an absolute franchise player. He's an absolute star player. He has a huge following. He's got, what I mean? Like, that's really healthy to bring into this environment of Chelsea when they're trying to re-superstar this team through young development. The second Dutch one, and I think one that's exciting a lot of people, is João Hato. So João Hato, he's 19, man. He's 19 and he's played 111 senior games for Ajax, and he's 19. Like, I know Ajax do that type of stuff, but it's not normal, That kind of behaviour is not normal. He's been capped by the Netherlands internationally as well 6 times. I think he's a very strong player. Ajax were a weird team last season, a really weird team. But regardless, Hato is a player who I think, again, he's dynamic in multiple positions. He's extremely good going forward when he wants to. He's also extremely good at winning the ball aerially. He's a real presence in that setup. And actually, what I think he is I think he's it's hard to describe this. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Like between Renato Vega and João Hato, because they're very similar, but they do things in a very different way. And I think Hato, given his age as well, he's slightly younger than Vega. He just feels a little bit more sleek. It's just a little bit more smooth and controlled. I think I really rate Vega, and I kind of have an unpopular opinion that he could be a really important player in this Chelsea team, but he won't be, in that he's going to go. I think Hato is a brilliant player to bring in. He offers cover for Cucurella. Obviously, Chilwell's going to leave. We've got a load of centre-backs we can play there if we need to tuck into the back three, so that's fine. And, I mean, the age profile, again, it's just, you've got Cucurella, who I think is the best left-back in Europe at the moment, give or take, especially after the Club World Cup. And he's 27, and Hato is an understudy at 19. It's just very smart business. I mean, I understand some people have been saying, well, why did we get rid of Lewis Hall in the first place? He would have been a great understudy. And I don't actually necessarily disagree. I really rate Lewis Hall. It's just at the time in the context, it made sense. He's an academy player, had to work for the books. That has to be done. And I think Hato's ceiling is probably slightly higher than Lewis Hall's, albeit they've both come through top academies and have got valuable experience. I don't think there's a huge gap in terms of where they could be, but Hato's got a really high ceiling, and what he brings to this team is very exciting. It's calm, composed, comfortable on the ball, good in the air, dynamic in multiple positions. The price, again, I think is fair. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, and it sparks clever business, really, to me. I think both of the signings do for the reported fees to get the pair of them for under £100 million for players of their ability is crazy. So yeah, I'm really happy about it as well, and I think we've spoken about it previously on here anyway. That I think they both just fit the mold, really, like you say, with sort of progression planning with Jiro Hato in a way as well, because you've got, like you said, Kukure's 27. He's got 3 years left on his deal. By the time next summer comes around, he'll have 2 years. We're not going to enhance his deal much at the age of 28. Could he go next year or the year after? Then we're going to have had a year or two of Jiro Hato bedding in. So it's just clever. I just think it's clever business all round. One thing for me with Hato that I really like and am confused by at the same time, where do you think he ends up? Do you think he ends up as a left back, or do you think he ends up as a centre back?
I think he ends up as a left back.
As in, for his whole career is what I mean, not just at Chelsea.
Yeah, I think he ends up as a left back.
You still think he ends up as a left back?
Yeah, I think unless unless he goes to Italy after Chelsea, in which I think he'll become a centre back. But if Chelsea, if he's in a system with a back three, he'll be a centre back, not out on the left. If he's in a four, I think he'll play as a left back, especially now.
Yeah. He'll 100% play as a left back for Chelsea.
Yeah, but like if he tears an ACL in 3 years' time and comes back after that, he'll probably play centre back.
Yeah. So with those signings, that's probably bringing near enough an end to our business outfield, I would say.
Yeah.
Personally, I still think we need a goalkeeper. And if the likes of Nkunku and Jackson are still to go and Tyreek George goes on loan, I think we probably need one more attacker, give or take, because we'd have 7. I think the magic number of attackers is 8, personally. Anyway, that as a whole, where are we? Where do you think we are with our squad? What do you think we need to be at the level that you expect us to be at during next season? Where do you expect us to be? How do you expect us to perform? And what do you feel like we still need in the squad to get to those levels?
That's a good question. What do I feel we need? I would like a better goalkeeper, obviously.
I think everybody would.
Yeah, Robert Sanchez he's like just a shit girl that you just, it's just, you can't get out of your head sometimes. Like sometimes it's great and sometimes it's terrible and blows your mind because you don't know what to do. Like he has that vibe. He's like a toxic person in your life. And I know that he means well, and I know he's liked amongst the team, but if the goalkeeper consistency can be locked in, like if he can just not enjoy being on camera so much and doing the silly things that he does, and I swear only Chelsea fans who watch full games all the time or in the stadium will see that he makes mistakes a lot, because I know rival fans are like, he's all right, I see him make amazing saves. It's like, yes, but he just has this like weird thing that he does. He just likes to scare people. I don't like that in a goalkeeper necessarily. So I think a slight improvement in goal, but again, I think this season for me, I want Chelsea, or believe Chelsea should finish in the top 4 more securely than last season. So not on the final day. Be slightly towards the mid to high 70s, maybe early 80s in points. I would definitely be happy if the season finished between 77 and 82 points. I think that would demonstrate to me a good step up. And there's no reason that can't happen, by the way. I do think the squad is just very bloated. So for me, what we need to do is get rid of some players, truthfully. And I know that's like being worked on and done, but I think that will really help just the general tone, mood around the club at points, because obviously those kind of things lingering can make it difficult. But I don't really go into the season, especially if you sign the Dutch duo, and go into the season concerned about the starting 11 at all. I'm very much on the side that Chalobah's a Champions League level defender, so I'm not at all worried about it. Like, it's just so obvious. It blows my mind. At least Tuchel can see it. I think Chalobah will play for England, to be honest with you. So, and every manager has worked out that Chalobah's class. He's just so good. So I'm not really that fussed. I mean, Tosin, I think he's good enough to play Premier League week in, week out generally. I think Chalobah is outstanding. I think Colwell's outstanding. So I'm comfortable there. If Fofana can build his way back into the team, which is possible because Reece has done it, Neto's done it, Sancho's done it. It's possible that you can come in and there's a pathway for you to make your way back. I'm comfortable there. And actually, what I will say, Luke, to try and answer your question, is I think not this season, but the one after is a really big one for Chelsea. The one thing I think about goalkeepers is Penders is having a loan to Strasbourg, and there's so much talk about Penders now. There's no rush, but I'd like to know what's going on there. He could be a part next season. Quenda will come in next season. Paez will have had a year out on loan, so I'm not super pressed about there not being 8 attackers. I think primarily, if you need an 8th, the academies, we always talk about the academy being one of the best in the world. So bring a couple on and just give them a go. There's no harm in that. If you really, really need an 8th, you can recall one of your players from loan and put them in there. I don't think you need to buy Garnacho as well. It's basically one. And I like Garnacho more than almost every Chelsea fan I've spoken to. But I don't think that's necessary. And the only thing I think actually which could be beneficial, if someone like Jackson is to leave, if there were an opportunity in the market, and I'm not saying there is, and I know fans probably won't like this, but if there were a Giroud X, Dzeko X, old head profile to sit in and amongst it, I think would be really beneficial. Those kind of little touches, if Chelsea feel as though there's a need. There's not a massive need, but if there is an opportunity that I can't think of a player off the top of my head, then I wouldn't dislike that, especially for someone like Delap. I think that'd be really helpful for his game. I think it would give Chelsea the only sort of stick and hold player they've got is Delap. So if you can bring someone in there that's maybe a little bit more rooted, but they're not very viable. There's not very many of them, so it might not be a possibility. Other than that, I'm not really fussed. I feel like Chelsea are ready to go, man. Bring it on. Every team has got stronger, but Chelsea look great. So I'm not concerned.
See, the reason I mention an 8th, and it's probably just the pessimist in me. It's, say we get an injury. I don't know. Let's say Cole Palmer got injured. Let's touch what he doesn't. Let's say Cole Palmer got injured, and Esteval takes a little bit of time to adapt to the league, which I don't actually think he will. No, but I'm just saying it in a hypothetical world. We get an injury and we get Esteval struggling to adapt a little bit. We're then with 5 attackers for 4 positions with 2 games a week. That just concerns me slightly.
But what you can do is you could then, let's play with Palmer being injured again, touch wood. Esteval takes time. So what you then do is you put Simmons as the 10, Gittins on the left, Neto on the right, or you then put Enzo as a 10 or Santos as a 10, because I know Maresca actually likes him there. And play the boy. I think with Enzo, you've got someone so good in the final third that can kind of be placated in a different way. You bring someone from the back rather than the front to fix the issue. And again, I would rather do that and spend 50 million on Garnacho.
I agree. Yeah, I'm similar to you, to be honest. I don't hate the Garnacho thing as much as most Chelsea fans do, because I do think there's a player there, and I do think Chelsea are good at squashing the off-the-field problems.
People don't like how he looks. I don't think people like how he looks. They don't like how he conducts himself, and they don't like the noise around him. But he's at Man United. It's the most poisonous.
Well, look at Sancho. Sancho got shielded out there because he was supposedly causing issues for Ten Hag. Went on loan to Dortmund, he was fine. Came on loan to us, he was fine.
We
are good at squashing that as a club, so that doesn't concern me in the slightest. And if tomorrow Chelsea had signed Garnacho, I'd be like, all right, fair enough, whatever. I sort of see why we would do it, but personally, I wouldn't.
Can I say though?
Go for it.
Just on the left wing thing, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just to go back to what I think is important for Chelsea this season in terms of achieving what they want to achieve. Now, when we say achieving what they want to achieve, what I want to do is step back and say, well, what Chelsea want to achieve isn't just results in the Premier League and in the Cups and the Champions League. It's about player development. It's about brand development. It's about business development, all those things. I think one of the most important things for Chelsea to reach the targets they've set for themselves, both this season and going ahead, is securing very, very, very appropriate and strategically well-placed loans for players like Mark Guiu and Tyreek George. Even maybe Achimpong, who I think will stay. But if those players can get a loan move which cultivates their ability and gets the best out of them. I mean, Guiu, if Leeds hadn't gone up, I would have loved to see Guiu at Leeds in the Championship, for example. Because he would have got so many chances and the type of football might benefit him and it translates to Chelsea. Tyreek George, I don't know where George could go, to be honest with you. I haven't actually thought about a loan move for him. I would rather the Championship or Liga, but I don't think he's going to go to Strasbourg, so I don't know. That to me, I think is a really important element. But coming into our discussions of Garnacho, etc., because I mean, I'd rather go with 7 and send George on loan and recall him than spend the 60 or 55 or 50 million on Garnacho.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think with Tyreek George, I think a Championship loan is definitely where he needs to be. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see him at Coventry under Frank. I think he'd do well there. I've heard a little rumor about him going to Ipswich. A friend of mine at Ipswich has heard a rumor that
I heard Mark Guiu's there as well.
Yeah, Chelsea rejected that. No, Chelsea accepted that initially, but Mark Guiu has rejected it for now because there's top class, there's top flight interest in Spain in Guiu for a loan, and Chelsea are hoping there'll be Premier League interest in him. So they're sort of holding on.
I mean, I guess it depends which club he goes to, right? But I mean, I think the bottom 5 to 7 teams in the La Liga are worse than the top 5 or 6 in the Championship.
I'd rather him take a top Championship loan than a bottom Premier League or La Liga loan, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. Oh, completely. Yeah, completely.
More of the ball, more chances breeds more confidence, more fine tuning of your skills, and that sort of thing. So, we'll see with Guiu. I think it'll be interesting. I think he definitely goes on loan, but where he goes will be interesting. I think Tyreek George to Coventry would be great. I've seen him I've heard about him being linked with Ipswich, and Ipswich are keen on him if Amari Hutchinson leaves. That'd be interesting. And I think I'm torn with Josh. Would you loan him out or would you keep him in the squad? Because ultimately he needs minutes.
I'd probably loan him out, yeah.
I think I would. I think I'd love to see him go on loan to Palace. Players that right centre back under Glasner. I think he would be incredible.
I don't know. Because my issue with Achimpong is I don't know what he wants to be.
This was a little bit where I was with Jorel Hato. Jorel Hato is a little bit more advanced than Josh Achimpong, but I don't know if he ends up more as a centre back or a right back.
Yeah, I
feel like a centre back.
Yeah, well, in truth, as you know, I watch Italian football all the time. Achimpong would really benefit from somewhere like Italy.
Yeah.
Not in the way that Ethan Ampadu did, because he didn't, and that was a really poorly chosen set of loans for Ampadu, who was handled terribly. I think is one of the saddest loan handling stories in recent Chelsea history, because there's a real star boy there, certainly was. He was handled shockingly. I think a league like that, which is so proud of their defensiveness, so proud of the way they do stuff. I'm not really fussed on which team, to be honest with you. It makes no real difference to me which team he's at. Fiorentina would be great. Whoever, that would be a nice place for him to be. Oh, I will say, Evan Ferguson is going to bang goals at Roma. I said for, who did I say it for? Maybe it was on the podcast I do with Si. We're talking about
we was talking about Gasperini, yeah.
Oh my God. He literally supercharges attackers. I promise you, Evan Ferguson's going to score like 30 goals all comps this season.
He scored like 5 in his first 45 minutes of football
Yeah,
for Roma.
mate. Gasparini is a myth. He is maybe the best singular attacking coach on the planet. Like what he does to attackers is mental. And I love the Evan Ferguson move, by the way.
Yeah, that was a random one, wasn't it?
Oh, it's genius though. It's genius. Like it's so smart. Like Gasparini needs a specific profile, and Ferguson's so highly rated, and he needs that opportunity. He's gonna feast for Roma. Like he is gonna smash it there.
That's a good loan move, isn't it? Like this is what we're talking about. A very well placed loan move can just elevate a young player so much.
I'm a young player. I'm an attacker. I need minutes regularly. I need to play under a really good attacking coach. Roma, bang! Like
yeah, exactly. And I think Chelsea could learn a lot from that move in how they place Mark Yu, how they place Tyreek George, and potentially if they were to loan out Josh Achapon, which I don't think they'll do. I think if Josh is to go out on loan, I think it'll be in January rather than now.
Yeah, agreed.
I think they'll hold on to him for 6 months, realise they're not giving him enough minutes because hopefully Reece stays fit and Gusto stays fit. Then they'll probably give him a 6-month loan in January potentially, depending on where he's at and where we're at. But just before we wrap up, Jay, I do just want to sort of lean into a little hypothetical scenario, and we're competing on 4 fronts this year. Where do you see us finishing in the Premier League? How far do you see us going in each of the cup competitions that we're involved in?
It's hard, isn't it? Because you have to. Your question is where do I think, rather than where I would like.
Yeah. Let's go heart over head. Where do you think in the current standings with what Chelsea have done in the window today on the 29th of July? Where do you see us finishing in the league, and how far do you see us getting in each of the 3 cup tournaments? Obviously, the Champions League has got a format that we're not used to as Chelsea fans yet, but I must say, and I've said it before, I absolutely love the new format.
Yeah, I like it too. Okay, so Premier League, I think Chelsea will finish 3rd.
Who's 4th?
Arsenal.
Yes, Jay.
It's fine. I mean, I've said my thing about Gyökeres extensively. Like, I'm just going to wait and see whether I'm correct or whether I'm incorrect, because you guys have all criticised me extensively on Gyökeres. I'm just going to see something. All right, that's fine. So 3rd in the Premier League, especially if Saka gets injured again. To be honest with you, like that's a real problem for Arsenal. I think they'll finish 4th if Saka goes out again, because Madueke is not as good as Saka in any way. So, you know, that is what it is. I think in the FA Cup, I think Chelsea will win the FA Cup. And that's the thing I would like the most, to be honest with you. Out of the whole season, I would like Chelsea to win the FA Cup the most. League Cup, I think it'll probably be like quarterfinals, semi-finals. I think that's whatever. Like, I'm not really. I would rather the League Cup final be between Brentford and Forest. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not really that hurt about that. And in the Champions League, I think Chelsea get to the quarterfinals.
Nice. See, you probably wouldn't have heard we done a predictions on Friday, and Danny asked me that question. And I actually said, in isolation of this season alone, I think the Carabao Cup is more important to Chelsea than the FA Cup. The FA Cup is my absolute favourite competition. And if I could win any competition every year that's not the league, it would probably be the FA Cup.
Yeah, of course.
But I just think with where we're at as a squad, and with any bit of sort of positivity breeds so much confidence and brings a winning mentality. Having a final in the middle of a season that you could win would be so much more beneficial to this current group of players than winning the FA Cup in isolation of just this season. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do see exactly what you mean. I don't know if I'm fully convinced, but I do see what you mean. Like, I think there's also an element of, if Chelsea were to qualify in the top 8 of the Champions League group stage table thing, that would almost be the same kind
Yeah,
of.
I agree. Yeah.
Maybe slightly less so, but and I
Because you
think
could class yourself as one of the top 8 teams in Europe. So
yeah, and actually, I think for the team because they're not idiots, they know football. Like the FA Cup is just a totally legit thing to win. Like
yeah,
the Club World Cup will be that in 50 years' time, but the FA Cup is like a legit thing to win. Like that is a real historic trophy to win, as we know. Like we loved Palace winning it. But I actually do see your point. I think that's a smart way to view it in terms of how it could help the team over the season. I wouldn't.
yeah. It's just an isolated thing of just thinking of this season and carrying on that sort of winning mentality after the Conference League and the Club World Cup. And you know what it's like as a Chelsea fan. When you win year on year, that just breeds more confidence and it breeds that
Oh,
winning
100%.
mentality. And I feel like there's more chance of winning the Carabao Cup, but also just winning it during the season. You never know. At that point, that means you could then go on potentially and win the FA Cup because you've got that confidence. I just feel like it can be a bit of a game changer for a younger group winning a final in the middle of a season. It means that last 2 or 3. Look at Newcastle this year. Obviously, they tried to throw it away on the final day. But they won the Carabao Cup, and then after that, they went on a really good run to
Yes,
cement
but
themselves.
the difference between Newcastle and Chelsea in that procedure is that Chelsea will play a full different team in the Carabao Cup for ages, whereas Newcastle
Yeah,
can't do that. And what you also have the risk on the other side of the coin is that the second team get to the semi-final or final and then get replaced by a load of first teamers and they win it and it feels great, but there's a little bit of like, or they get to the final and they get swapped out for a load of first teamers and they lose it because Erling Haaland scored a hat trick, and you're like, this just leaves a bad taste.
See, I don't think we're going to have as much as that first team, second team environment this year, because mainly because I don't think we're going to be able to. Because I think every game can be hard, and if you get a bad draw in the Champions League, you could have 8 very, very good teams, and you're not going to have that sort of margin for error of playing a reserve team against Noah's Ark in the Conference League. Like you're going to have to rotate and rotate well, and I think this is going to be an interesting part of Maresca's sort of skill set this year is how he prepares because the way that I thought last season went, it was like very much he's planning sort of 1 to 2 games at a time in terms of he knew we had whoever we've got in the Conference League on the Thursday, so he could go full strength on the Sunday, give them players exactly a week off. They won't have to be involved at all on the Thursday. You're not going to get that in the Champions League because even if you manage to rest 6 or 7 players, the 6 or 7 players that come out are still going to have to be on the bench in the Champions League because you need to win that game. And how he prepares his squad, how he plans, and how he rotates is going to have to be like 4, 5, 6 games in advance rather than just taking the next 2 at a time, if you know what I mean. And that's why I think it'll be interesting this year to see how he rotates, and I don't think we'll be able to have that sort of A team B team split. But ultimately, that folded in half in January anyway.
I actually do think that we'll be able to, like, for example, with the Champions League. Like the Champions League is a massive competition, right? And you can't take anyone for granted. Or like the Carabao Cup, or like actually, I think besides Liverpool, Sunderland have had the best transfer window alongside Chelsea. But like teams like Sunderland or Burnley, I mean, look at the Champions League, the teams in the Champions League: Villarreal, Union Saint-Gilloise, Sporting Lisbon, Slavia Prague, PSV, Olympiacos, Monaco, maybe Galatasaray. Like you can play a second. Respectfully, you can play Chelsea second team against some of those opposition too. Like if there's no reason why you should be playing a full first team if you've got to play against Union Saint-Gilloise. Do you know what I mean?
I just don't think there's much of a drop off this year between our starters and our backups.
I agree. Yeah, agreed.
To note a first and second team, I think no player's going to moan at only playing Champions League football because it is Champions League. No. But also, I just think that whole sort of trial of doing an A and a B team last year did fall apart pretty abruptly. And I think then you saw in the second half of the season that a lot of our starters were still starting in the Conference League, and then they'd
that's
fair. I think play 45 minutes. So I don't think that works. It's not like on career mode, for example, like you referenced earlier. You probably change 11 players if you had a midweek game to a weekend game.
Yeah, but you actually could do that.
I think in practice you could. I think in a longer term, like across a full season, that sort of longer term.
I agree, but I don't think you need it for the full season though.
No, but I don't know. I just feel like you risk squad harmony that way. And I feel like we're actually on the verge of having a really harmonious squad.
Okay.
And I think if you do it that way, you're almost saying to players, look, you can play as well as you like in the B team, but you're not going to start in the A team. And I feel like that causes issues. I feel like every player should be fighting for a jersey in the starting team. And I feel like if you segregate a little bit, I think it just takes out a little bit of ambition. And I think we saw that a little bit last year.
I think it does the opposite.
See, I thought the first sort of 6 weeks of the season last year, somebody like Felix, for example, was really on it whenever he played. When that A and B team sort of segregated, he didn't look bothered at all. And it was like he knew that no matter what he did, Jadon Sancho was going to start on the left and Noni Madueke was going to start on the right, or whatever it was. And
but his reaction, like it's not the fault of that system. It's his own reaction. Like, welcome to Chelsea. Like, this is a top club. You compete with.
I agree, but I think that bit's the good bit. You compete for players. I just think segregating it to this is the A team, this is the B team.
Yeah. In that way,
cause more harm than good.
In that way, it's too much. But in practice, I think it can be done. And against, let's use them again, Union Saint-Gilloise. If you had a Sugo, Andre Santos, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall midfield three, that's completely okay. Like,
oh yeah, and I think rotation's fine. It's just if it's every single game,
completely segregated. Yeah,
completely changing it is it's not necessarily the right way to go about it, because I think there will be times in the season where Andre Santos, for example, will be on a purple patch and he'll have to start in the league, because if you then drop him when he's in good form, you're showing him that no matter how you play, you're not going to get into the best team.
I feel sorry for him, boy. He's like Enzo and Caicedo, the level of those two players.
But then get to that level and compete with them. Like
that's
the whole point of being that's the whole point of being at Chelsea Football Club, isn't it?
Where he wants to be as well.
Exactly, and I think that's where we need to be as a club. We need two players fighting in every position at the top level. And I think if you look all the way around the squad now, you've got James and Gusto. Like, that fight, if both are on form, will be excellent. And I think with a wide right back, that will make that fight a lot more even. Whereas last year with Gusto inverting, that didn't make that very hard at all. And then obviously you've got the centre, and you've got Hato and Cucurella. Then you've got the five midfielders, which we don't even need to go into. Just incredible talent in there. And then you've got all the attacking players who can all play in different roles. Bar maybe Gittins, he's probably strictly a left winger.
He probably could do a job on the right, but yeah.
He's one of those left wingers. Like,
he's out and out, chalk on the boots left winger.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just nice to see that we've got very, very high levels of competition all the way through the squad, apart from in goal.
Yeah, but I think what you have instead of goalkeeping competition is ambiguity, which is less nice for a keeper. Like, they actually don't know whether they're getting axed or not. It's not like, at least if there's a better keeper, it's like, oh, right, I'm the second choice, so I can either accept it or move. Like, Robert Sanchez has no idea where he's coming or going. Jorgensen has no idea if he's coming or going. Like, Penders is somewhere.
I think that's the only area of the squad where we haven't actually got a Champions League level player.
But on his day, Sanchez is one. No, he is.
I think, but the issue is if you only have if you're saying like on his day, Robert Sanchez.
Agreed.
He's like bank holidays. You get like 5 days a year. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, but like, if two of them were in cup finals, sound.
Yeah, but I want somebody who does like a 9 to 5. I want him 5 days a week being like the best. Like, not bank holiday once every 3 months or whatever.
Neuer on a free contract.
Yeah, exactly. But
I would do that.
Okay. Right, well, we'll wrap it up there, Jay. Any sort of final thoughts? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to chuck out there before we wrap?
Nothing other than thank you for having me. And if you've made it to the end, please subscribe, because lots of people who watch videos on YouTube don't subscribe to the channels, and it really helps. So make sure you subscribe on there. Subscribe on other platforms if this is being clipped up to go out on other platforms. And subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, do the nice things, because this is an early stage podcast, so support the boys, do the right stuff. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Jay, thank you so much for coming on, mate. We appreciate it so much. And we will catch you all on the next one.